Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will talk a little bit about my story and how to time travel. But I realized that it might be triggering for some people and that you might not want to hear it. So trigger warning. I thought of talking about a phenomenon like human experience phenomenon that will enable you to time travel, but it's costly on the soul, on the psyche and the soul. 8 years ago, I fell asleep with a question on my mind. Maybe it was actually a sleep hypnosis about finding your life purpose. Either way, in the morning I woke up, thought that my life purpose is to understand the human experience, because it really is an experience. And because my perspective is very personal, it's what I have in human design, and it's often where I end up when I'm speaking. I'm not speaking out of facts, even though I love reading about new things and experimenting and learning about this beautiful world that we live in. It's still, my perspective is always still very much just my own. When I was about, how many years ago? So I've had a lot of trauma in my life, especially when I was young. It's kind of something I signed up for. I wanted a exhilarating experience, and I kind of wanted to finally overcome my so when I was much younger, when I was 23 years old, I was essentially kidnapped by an older man, and I was forced into a relationship. I was brainwashed into it, so I completely believed that if I just did everything that he wanted, that then we would just that then he would become nice to me. And this man, I think he signed up to let me have this journey and overcome past life karma, or just this past life pattern that I had such a hard time getting out of in previous lives, where I had also been abducted and taken away and locked in different situations and being enslaved, so, and dying early. So I often died as a young teenager or a child or just a really young adult. So this is what I had to overcome in this lifetime. I'm saying this just to have a broader view, I guess, and also I think I signed up for this experience because I wanted to learn something about time traveling, how exhilarating it can be when you are kind of at your edge and you're reclaiming pieces of yourself, and just how the mechanics of it works when you shatter a soul. It's like shattering a crystal. So it keeps its frequency in different parts, and each little piece kind of keeps a memory that it stores. essentially, if our bodies are like crystals, because the fascia is like a liquid crystal interface matrix. And I did a lot of different methods to recover myself. And initially, I couldn't remember anything like what had happened. It just the more recent things, or things that my consciousness could hold and process. But as I processed those things, and in the Swedish system, I really had to fight to get therapy. They only wanted to give me serotonin in uptake inhibitors, which were disastrous for me. So that's a tangent, but I broke my brain and I had to heal my brain back. So I learned how to do that also. And I kind of, either way, because this older man was he was playing with me like a cat and a mouse. So I won't go too much into it, but he would, cut off my airways essentially. And when that happens, you kind of have to, these were memories that I just could not make myself remember for a long time. I thought it wasn't that bad. It was like the last time that he tried to do it on me, I was kind of so used to knowing that I wouldn't die, so I just screamed at his face. I think he was thinking a lot about whether he would end up in prison for it. He also it really seemed like he wanted me to take my own life. So he would say things like, just kill yourself. It's worth going into prison for. And this is how he revealed just what he was thinking about and considering the consequences. And I think that was the thing that was keeping him from actually going through with it. And that's how I also managed to survive. I became very good at faking that I was losing consciousness. And I needed to kind of pretend that I was losing consciousness as I was actually kind of losing consciousness. And to just because I noticed that he would stop if I lost consciousness. He wanted to get his will. And if I wasn't, he wanted my attention. And if I was no longer giving him attention, then what was the point? These things I was unable to remember initially, and as I was able to remember them more and more, each time that it happened, and that I did fascial maneuvers, breath work, therapy, plant medicine, sometimes these things were just ready to come up and they came up. Each time I would remember, integrate, and then it was as if a huge part of myself reintegrated, and it was as if that part of myself had been stuck all this time. And initially it would be bigger chunks of myself, like entire like personalities being reintegrated, and like the part of me that's able to get angry, the part of me that's able to say no, or who's just not at all up for a horror story. These parts started coming back, and they were often quite surprised to having time traveled. But yeah, that's the gift to them and to me, to just have this experience of leaping forward, maybe 10 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, and just being so surprised. For example, just being so surprised that I have a child, for example, or that I've finished my studies, or that or that there's a pandemic out there. Lots of these things. And so yeah, that's how you can time travel. And sometimes it's just the sheer gratitude and joy over having survived. Sometimes I feel as if I'm gathering pieces from parallel timelines where I did not survive. So this is also something that's I'll never know for sure. It's just this sense of how precious this lifetime is and this timeline where I made it through and I overcame my past life experiences, because in those experiences were worse. And so it's been a very big cleaning and repurposing experience of my own inner self. And I also see this on the outside in my life also, that a lot of the things that I do is cleaning, just tidying and putting things where they belong and taking care of the flow of energy and seeing where things are not being stagnant is kind of telling of what's going on. Thank you for listening to a little bit of my story. Bye bye.